Hello, hello, nurses and midwives in charge, Liberia, and the entire world, I would say. Um, Welcome, everyone. We are getting started. Happy Nurses Week. And say Liberia, we have our ambassador from Liberia joining us. So welcome,
Thank
Madam
you.
Ambassador.
Thank
And
you.
again, happy Nurses Week.
Thank you.
So
Happy return too.
thank you so much. So this week we have had a week full of events commemorating International Nurses Week. And from yesterday to today, we will barely complete the list of nurses, pioneer nurses that have come and gone, trailblazers that have touched the lives of nurses globally. Just the legacies that we are stepping into and truly just enjoying the hard works of our predecessors. So this Nurses Week, this year of Nurses Week, we truly want to highlight these pioneer nurses that came and did not sit still. They were nurses in charge indeed. So with that said, let's just warm up the room, by playing a tribute to Nick Tour, Nurses in Charge Tour. And this is a beautiful clip from one of our tour members from the crew of Nick Tour, and he had created this and has it all over social media. And it's just amazing, and it came just in time as we celebrate Nurses Week. So this is to all of our nurses and midwives globally. Happy Nurses Week. wishing everyone a wonderful International
Great.
Nurse Week.
Great.
He did his best to truly capture some of the memorable times we had on the tour, and I can't wait to tell him to just slow down a little bit so we can read what he wrote, and also just to see some more faces better. But this is amazing. Couldn't have come at a better time. This is actually, it made my day yesterday when I saw it posted on our WhatsApp page. I was like, this is amazing. He just did it. You know, people, nurses are in charge, man, when they just take on tasks and just go on with it. So thank you so much. And this was done by Joshua Saki Grief. Awesome, awesome, great job. Alrighty, so with that said, let me set up so we can go into the presentation I have set up for us today. I am learning so much more about nursing and, you know, just the imprint of nurses previous to our era. And it's amazing just to see what they came and did and what we're stepping into this amazing opportunity that they left for us. Today we enjoy so much in our professional arenas from what, you know, the foundations that were laid before our time. So awesome. Take this back. Thank you for your patience. So actually, I'm going to start this presentation from the beginning, not truly covering the entire presentation, but just to show you all what we had yesterday and then proceed from there. If I can. All right, everyone, thank you so much for your patience. Here we go. Feel free to let me know in the chat if you cannot see what I've projected.
We can see it. I can see it from my side, and I see Global Happy International Nurses Week.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Alrighty, so I'm just gonna run through the first probably 25 slides here. And this link actually goes to our tribute, again, the very first tribute we had out there for Nurses Week. And you can actually see on LinkedIn, Facebook, and into our WhatsApp chat room. So we started off just with an introduction. NIC presents legendary nurses who have made significant contributions to the global nursing profession, particularly through leadership, advocacy, innovation, and humanitarian, are pioneering nurses around the world who have shaped nursing through clinical care, education, advocacy, and innovation. So this is a run through of what we discussed yesterday. We talked about a nurse in Brazil who actually during the colonial period, she was defending the wounded during invasions. So as we go through this historical milestone, you see where nurses they played several roles, not just taking care of sick people. They were, I want to almost say they were undercover. They were like CIAs, and they were also helping people to escape war and not die during some of those catastrophic events there. So Jean Mens, she was in France. We see that she actually founded a hotel that became Canada's first hospital. Imagine that. It's amazing. She's the earliest, she's one of the earliest nurses in North America. And if you notice, we came from the 1600s and we're headed into the 21st century. So we have Martha, she was an early midwife. She documented, who documented her work in detail, diaries. She did community health nursing, midwifery nursing work. She also cared for women, of course, in America. And then we talk about Sojourner Truth. And it really, really warmed my heart to see that I learned about Sojourner Truth, a Black African-American young woman. She was in her 20s. And when I learned about her in high school, it was all about how she was an abolitionist. And now, just to come learn more about her, that she was a nurse, right? So she has been recognized for advocating for the rights and recognition of Black nurses. And also she served as a volunteer nurse during the Civil War. And let alone, on top of all of those, she was pushing for the abolishment of slavery. Then we had Dorothy Dix. This lady is well known for mental health. And by the way, happy Mental Health Month, Mental Health Awareness Month. Dorothy Dix is this nurse who she was appointed later on in her life as the superintendent of Army nurses during the Union Army era of the Civil War in the USA. So she led a lot of reforms about mental health and did a lot of education. And today we can celebrate and truly live. People can live today without the major cloud of stigma that was over them. Someone had a mental illness and they will have to go in hiding and not be seen even by their own community. So her work did not go unseen or unfruitful. We're truly reaping the benefits of her work today. Mary C. Coyle, she was a Jamaican lady. She impacted both Jamaica and England. She's known to be the Creole nurse, of course, during the Crimean War. And looking at the dates, just keep looking at the timeline where she came before Florence Nightingale. This is a Black Jamaican lady, of course. She's beautiful. When you ever see her portrait, a portrait of her, you admire her beauty. Known for her independent humanitarian efforts in British Hotel, at the British Hotel, where she took care of sick soldiers. She also she got honored for breaking ritual barriers in healthcare. All right, moving on, because we want to get to our presentation today. Florence Nightingale then came about 15 years later on, after Mary C. Coyle has started her journey. And Florence Nightingale is in England. Mary C. Coyle is in Jamaica and England. So you see the comparison, the proximity between these two nurses. She's known, Flora Nightingale is known as the founder of modern nursing. She revolutionized hospital sanitation and nursing education. She also established the Nightingale Training School for Nurses in 1860. So about 40 years into her career, she has already started her own school. And this education arena really transformed nursing into a respected profession. And there are many stories about how nurses were not respected. They were marginalized because of some personal behaviors they had in, societal behavior where they would get drunk, they were prostituting, so nurses really they had the talent, but they really did not have a good reputation back then. But Flora Nightingale came and truly gave that, this professional image that nurses that we enjoy today. And we've come a long way, by the way. So Clara Barton in the USA from 1821 to 1912, she founded the Red Cross in 1881. So we see the Red Cross today, nurses, okay? So this presentation really is to open our eyes, give us that worldview of who nurses are, how they have impacted our world at large, okay? So Clara Barton is nicknamed as the angel of the battlefield during the American Civil War. So you see many nurses were playing intricate roles during the American Civil War. She advocated for disaster relief and emergency nursing. And that's my heartstring. I love emergency nursing. Disastrous zones are where I love to render my services. So this is really, really personal to me as well. So Lucy Osborne, we see that she, her era was, her time span was from 1836 to 1891. She's in Australia. She got trained under Flora Nightingale, right? So this is Flora Nightingale's apprentice. And so she is considered the modern nursing. She considered the founder of modern nursing in Australia. So she then introduced Flora Nightingale's style of nursing into Sydney. So it's really hard for you to have a mentor and deviate from what you've learned from them. I mean, later on, you can form your own clinical practice methods, but in the very early stage, you truly adapt it completely and carry on. We all do that. We all grow and formulate our own plans, or ways of practices. But we see also another nurse that was trained by Flora Nightingale, Alice Fisher, in England and the US. So the English nurse trained, by Flora Nightingale, she brought the Nightingale methods to the US. So this is the lady who migrated to the US and brought the Nightingale methods of nursing care to the US. And then she led many reforms at the Philadelphia General Hospital. Kudos, ladies. I can't wait to find a man, the name of a man. I've gone through 130 nurses. I've not seen a man's name. And that should be another story. Anyway, so Linda Richards, 1841 to 1930 in the US. She was America's first trained nurse. She then went on to help establish nursing training programs in the US and Japan. She introduced patient care record keeping. We see today we have electronic medical records, and it's at our fingertips. We see that it is interoperable. You can be in Africa and have a patient record right onto a device in your palms, And so this nurse had a strategic role to play in this innovative practice that we enjoy today. So Mary Alice Mahoney, she also a United States citizen. She was the first African American professional nurse in the US. So prior to 1845, they were all Caucasian white. Now comes 1845 to 1926. There comes Mary Eliza Mahoney. So she was the first professionally trained African-American nurse. She co-founded the National Association of Color Graduate Nurses in 1908. Then she went on to pave the way for racial integration in the nursing profession. So you can see the struggle, right? Power struggle and or just racial inequality when it comes to our profession. And ladies and gentlemen, it's sad to say that it still exists today, but we've come a long way. Okay. And I say that factually because I've had my own struggles with racial inequality within our profession. All right, Susie King Taylor came right after Mary Eliza in the USA. She is an American nurse and educator, first African American Army nurse during the American Civil War. She taught soldiers to read and write. Good girl. While caring for the wounded, she's teaching them how to read and write. Okay, so we can see even in the 1800s, this is a very risky time. It's amazing that an African American can read and write, and now she is now educating the soldiers, because we know for civil rights movements and all of the racial issues that African Americans experienced back then, they really weren't allowed to go to school. They had segregation. They were segregated from white schools. So now it's amazing. It just brings joy to my heart to see that this African American nurse was well educated and now educating the soldiers. All right, I digress. Let's go on. So she wrote her memoirs, and I have some of the titles down here. This is a hyperlink. So if you are clicking on this presentation, you would go directly to purchase her book or even just read it off of one of the platforms they have, like Amazon, Kindle, and whatnot. But yeah, she wrote about her time while caring for wounded soldiers. And she also wrote about the Black nurses' role during wartime. These are all of her stories, okay? So Adele Nothing, maybe butchering that name, 1858 to 1948. Good time spent there. In the USA, she was the first professor of nursing at Columbia University. A key figure in nursing education reform and documentation of nursing history. Edith Cavell also is now an English nurse in British nurse executive. She was, when I came across this portion of the historical collection here, I see she was executed. I believe I said something before about the double roles that nurses played. She was executed during World War I for helping Allied soldiers escape from German-occupied Belgium. So she's been remembered, has been remembered for her bravery and humanitarianism. Okay, she died brave, very brave. Lillian Ward in the US, she is the pioneer of public health nursing. She founded the Henry Henry Street settlement in New York City. This was one of the earliest schools of nursing back then, and she advocated for school nursing, health education, and social reform. Agnes Carol, she was in Germany, and she founded the German Nurses Association. She is instrumental. Well, remember to have been is instrumental in creating standards for nursing education and work conditions in Germany. She's influential in International Council. She is instrumental in the International Council of Nurses, ICN. You see all of the conferences today, nurses are going, gathering, and truly sharing knowledge and gathering some. So we see that Agnes was a strategic member of that founding. Okay, Margaret Singer, in the US, a nurse and birth control advocate. So today we got birth control pills. We have all sorts of contraceptive methods. Margaret Singer went up in history. I won't say down. She went up in history for her advocacy. She founded organizations that became the Planned Parenthood and fought for women's reproductive rights and public health. Mary Breckinridge. In the US, she founded the Frontier Nursing Services in Kentucky in 1925. Introduced nurses and midwives, nurse midwifery in the US. And by the way, the Frontier Midwifery School is one of the prestigious midwifery schools in the US. She, her impact in reduced maternal and infant mortality, especially in the rural areas. We know these are the hard to reach areas in any part of the world. The rural areas are like so remote, and sometimes those people there don't get much care as compared to those who are out in other areas. So, ladies and gentlemen, I had to write a whole lot about Phoebe Esther Bacon School in Liberia because, hey, I can't, I'm, you may say I'm biased, but I actually went and saw this monumental site where the university is based in Lofa. And then I was honored to be at her grave then. But this Phoebe Bacon, we know that she is an advocate, right? She advocated for American nurses. Back up. An advocate American, did I say advocated? A devoted American nurse and Lutheran missionary. She served in Liberia from 1941 until her passing in 1972. So she died from Lassa fever, and she could not travel because Lassa fever is so contagious. Just think of Ebola patient traveling to come back home. That is, I can just imagine back then it was just more restricted, even more than today. So she died in Liberia. She was buried there. And the story goes that her family still comes annually to pay their tribute to her, clean out her gravesite. And yeah, so they still pay their respects to her. So Esther Bacon School of Nursing and Midwifery is located in Zozo City, Lofa County, Liberia. It is a permanent institution dedicated to training nurses and midwives. Since its establishment in 1964, the school has played a vital role in combating maternal mortality in Liberia by graduating thousands of professional nurses and midwives. who serve in various healthcare facilities across the country. Great job, nurses. You guys are really turning it around here. So then the next site that I visited during my tour in Liberia also was at the Diana K. Assassin uh, School of Midwifery. So Diana K. Assassin from 1966 to 2000 in Liberia, she served. She was a dedicated nurse midwife and missionary who made significant contributions to maternal health, midwifery, education in Liberia, serving with evangelical Lutheran. Again, we found another Lutheran evangelist and in Liberia. So this is the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America from the time span 1966 to 2000. She played a pivotal role in developing and managing midwifery training programs across the country. So then in 1983, recognizing the acute shortage of trained midwives in the southern region of Liberia, Assassin then helped establish a midwifery training program in Zredru, Grand Judea County. This is a beautiful campus. I mean, it's painted yellow and green. You can't miss it. You're passing by, you wonder, that has to be a metropolis institution over there. Something's going on in there. I better find out. So we were there. I'm going to pause here for a little bit to see if our ambassador can have any remark on our legends from Liberia.
Thank you. I think I'm enjoying listening to this very unique presentation. Something that derives from right where I am. Something that I'm interacting with every day. Well, let me say thank you, because I think this is great to paint it on paper. Makes it even more beautiful.
Yeah. They told me they've seen you many times in those regions.
Yes.
Yes. They say, you said who? Cecilia Pamela? She's due to come back here too.
We strive to uphold actually what our ancestors sought, what they invested in, and what they have thought that life could be or the contribution could be. And that is what I fight for every day, to say that people invested. These visions were seen by people long years. If they could have sat and seen everything go down the drain, some of us wouldn't have been around, because these are services that we benefit, our parents benefited, and our children will benefit or are benefiting. So all I always say is that let's keep hope alive. Let's keep the dreams alive, because these people had dreams, but they didn't sleep. And that's the only dream that is more valuable on earth. The dream that doesn't make you to sleep. When you talk about dream and sleep are related very closely. But if they both cannot be related, then we know you are ready for business.
you wake up. You wake up at night and you're on it. It's your dream mapping it. Yeah,
exactly. Your dream that makes you afraid, makes you sleepless. That's the real practical dream. And this is the result of, these are the results of dreams.
Yes. It's amazing. These
reading from the American nurses. I'm so happy when I heard about even a lady that worked with Florence Nightingale. A lady that started the IC, and these are things we read about every day, we participate in. But it's good sometimes to sink in us and say there was a person who once lived, who sacrificed, who taught, who has slept at night and started. And then we say one step will usually lead to succeeding to achieve a million miles.
Yes.
And it's worth sometimes just sitting and reflecting on these people as you have done. So congratulations to you too. I think this
I
is
love
the
it.
most you have done. In nursing, we say, well, it's not documented, it's not done.
No,
So
it's
we
not
keep
done.
all of these stories as oral, or we just keep it somewhere that they are not exposed. It means that our profession definitely will keep going down the drain.
Yes.
Well, I'm happy that at least it's coming out around the nicest month where we can also just acknowledge our heroes and heroines, if we have any heroes so far in these histories, but at least what they have done for us over.
Absolutely. So yesterday during the presentation, I had a nurse from Nigeria, a nurse from Cameroon, a nurse from Liberia, of course. And it's amazing to see that sometimes we become so complacent. Oh, I'm just a nurse. But when you start to see what others had to do, where they went through, a nurse got executed, a nurse got this and that happened to them. She died from Lassa fever. You start to truly build that mental image that this is an important career. I should not just take it for granted. I am important. Beyond important, I am an essential member of society, and reminding ourselves, and that was the essence of bringing this presentation during Nurses Week, because quite often we play around, we do the social interactions, but when we can truly embody something, get ourselves enlightened as to where we've come from and where we're going. All these nurses did this and that. What are you going to do as a nurse in charge? What's your mark? What is your legacy? So ladies and gentlemen, if you took nothing from this presentation, just walk away with the question, why am I a nurse? What am I going to do moving forward? Where is my name going to be mentioned? What can I do? As the ambassador said, that dream is so bigger than you that it scares you. But yet you cannot resist. It's just like, it's on you, it's stuck on you like a leech, but you're loving it. You're doing everything in your manpower, in your woman's power, but you don't get weary because you know this dream is real. And it's eye wide open, you're not sleeping. We said dream, but you're not sleeping. Oh dear, I just love it. All right, so part two. Now, can you see where we've come from? I'm glad that we could actually go over what we had in our discussion yesterday, so that when we proceed into part two, you can really start to build on that knowledge there. All right, here we go. There we go. Welcome back. We've been here. So some of these names I'll be very gentle with. Rufeda al-Salamia. This is from Arabia in the 17th century. Often considered the first Muslim nurse. Wow. This nurse practiced during the time of the Prophet Muhammad and organized care for wounded soldiers. Do you see nurses just serving in the military? It's amazing. Oh, let me stop it for a moment. Someone just joined us. I just want to recognize this member of NIC. Hello, Vincent. Happy birthday. Did you hear me?
Hello.
Hello, happy birthday.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much. I'm really humbled.
You're welcome. So you came to party with us on your birthday.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy and proud to be part of NIC's Global.
Awesome.
And I wish everyone happy Nurses Week.
Same to you.
And
Same to you.
a better future in the nursing.
Awesome. Same to you. Happy birthday. So we're proceeding with a presentation here, and we have a nurse, a pioneer nurse, and we're reading out the legacy of this nurse from the Arabia. So we see that this was the first Muslim nurse practiced during the time of Prophet Muhammad and organized care for wounded soldiers. This nurse also advocated for ethical and spiritual caregiving. Listen, we are human, flesh and spirit, so you cannot separate those two. So I see a nurse that is truly tapping into an era of healthcare that sometimes we often, or we may not intentionally, but we may not focus on those aspects of the patient's care. But ethical and spiritual caregiving was where this nurse impacted. So Elizabeth Fried in England, a Quaker soldier reformer, okay? A reformer known for her work in prison reform. I love prison. I work in correction, and that's a hard place to start anything and try to impact change. But we see that we're commemorating a nurse who founded the institution of nursing sisters, influencing early nursing practices. Wonderful. And this was in England. Then we have Elizabeth Russell Belfort in the 1800s in Canada, who founded the Toronto General Hospital School of Nursing. And they helped formalize nursing training in Canada. Grace Neal in New Zealand helped pass the Nursing Registration Act of 1901. She was the first in the world. Can you see that? I just get goosebumps when I come across something that is just so monumental, you can't miss it, you can't refute. It says that she was instrumental in establishing state registration for nurses in New Zealand. Okay. Ellen Doherty in New Zealand again was the world's first registered nurse under the 1901 Nursing Registration Act in New Zealand. So we see the impact of her predecessor, and now she's coming right into this reform. Elizabeth Grace Neal in New Zealand as well. She was instrumental in, she played an intricate role here as well within this registration. It says that she was instrumental in passing the Nursing Registration Act of 1901, the world's first legislation for nurse registration. Wow. Anna Caroline Maxwell in the United States, 1851 to 1923, known as the American Florence Nightingale. She founded the Army Nurse Corps, and she helped professionalize military nursing during the Spanish-American War. Amazing. Then we have Ethel Gordon Fenwick in England. She campaigned for the legal registration of nurses in the UK. We see that at the end of the 1800 era, there's a lot of reforms happening. We see registration. Just we're heading into standardization and all of that. But these are the earliest pioneers, trailblazers in such work. First nurse to appear on the UK nursing register. in 1923. Cecilia McCowan in South Africa was the first Black professional nurse in South Africa. Ooh, this is towards the tail end of the 1800s to 1919. She was an activist for women's rights and healthcare in underserved communities. So Afifa Karam from Lebanon, 1883 to 1924. Though also known for literature, she played an advocacy role in the early 20th century Arab women's health and education. And then she advocated for women's role in caregiving and public works. So we see that in some cultures, in some religions, women are very much restricted to either furthering their education or even getting any education, let alone furthering their education. And the nursing role of a woman in some of these societies I never heard of. So she played that instrumental role. Okay, any questions so far? Or comments? Okay, thank you for your attention. We have Annie Goodrich in the United States, the first dean of Yale School of Nursing. Woohoo! She is a prominent nursing educator and policy maker. You know, when I speak with members of nurses in charge, and sometimes they feel like they are beneath and not above, or they are incapable of achieving beyond the scope of a bedside nurse, I say you are shortchanging yourself. You are definitely not benefiting from the vast opportunities that we see in nursing. A policymaker, an author, an innovator, a researcher. Move on, do something more. Don't just stay there. The more you move around, the more your profession becomes like a pot of gold, because everyone wants to see you. They want a piece of that. So Sir Elizabeth, Sir or Senior, don't know, but it's a lady, Elizabeth Kenny in Australia, was a pioneer physical therapy techniques for polio treatment, okay? She then challenged the medical norms and influenced modern physiotherapy and rehabilitation nursing. So during my tour in Liberia again, I met a physiotherapist nurse in Phoebe Hospital. She has done this for over 30 years at least. So that time span I look at, that's post-war, Civil War Liberia. And this lady, she has been trained, and she has all her equipments in there. She supports the hospital. She's one of those outpatient services that patients go there to get physiotherapy after accidents or any stroke incidences, and she rehabilitates them to bring them back to some functionality. All right, Helen Fairchild in the United States, 1885 to 1918. So the World War I nurse, she is the World War I nurse who served in France with the American Expeditionary Force. She died of war-related illnesses. She is remembered for her letters documenting wartime nursing. Ooh. I'm tearful for her for a moment, but I see that her legacy still speaks beyond her. Imagine sometimes we don't even know what happens to the nurse in the battlefront. You know, bandaging those bullet wounds and reviving those soldiers that have been struck by some form of ammunition, and the nurses there. So reading her works would definitely blow your mind. Virginia Henderson in the United States defined the need theory of nursing, often called the first lady of nursing. Interesting. Her definition of nursing continues to shape curricula and practices. Okay, that's an interesting theory. I'll leave you with the enthusiasm to go and really dig this out and see what this is all about. Because our presentation, we really don't have time to go deeper into that. So Araceli Vayax, Lord forgive me. So 1900s to 2000s, this is a nurse in the Philippines. She is known for her renowned Filipina nurse leader. She is a renowned Filipina nurse leader who helped reform the Filipino Board of Nursing. She worked internationally to advocate for Filipino nurses' right and recognition. Wow. Cool girl. I just love the diversity that we see here across the globe. So Hilgard People in the United States, she developed the international relations. She developed the international relations theory in nursing. She is known for being the mother of psychiatric nursing, emphasized nurse-patient communication and nurse-patient communication as therapeutic. Listen, if you never work in psych, you find that nurse-patient relationship beyond the medical wards, it is actually heavier, embedded into the therapeutic milieu. You know, psych would say it's a milieu, that environment that truly is healing. Words you say in that environment, your demeanor, everything that is in that environment should be therapeutic. And part of that is that nurse-patient relationship, nurse-patient communication. So I'm so happy to see this as well. So Arena Sandler in Portland, she was a nurse and social worker who served 2,500 Jewish children during the World War II by smuggling them out of the Warsaw ghetto. So again, another nurse functioning beyond her scope of practice and or just beyond her work environment. She's now saving lives, you know, by another means. So she worked with the Polish underground and faced torture for her humanitarian work. This is, I believe, the third or fourth nurse that truly we see that they truly got hurt or killed for such a bravery work of releasing, saving lives in a war-torn environment. Martha Rogers, now we're really into our 1900s. It's getting warmer. This is in the United States. She developed the science of Unitarian human beings. She focused on viewing patients as a whole, a dynamic energy field rather than a separate. Remember, I spoke on the spirit, the mind, spirit, and body, inseparable. So that's the Unitarian being, inseparable. Absolutely treat them as a whole, and that patient really starts to recover internally and also externally. Dr. Hagar W. Johnson Brown. United States, first African-American woman to become a general in the United States Army and chief of the Army Nurse Corps. She advocated for diversity in military and professional nursing. Again, another opportunity for question, comments, adding value to the presentation. Feel free to stop me if something pop up and you want to add. So Madeline Leninger, I admire this lady when I was in graduate school because transcultural nursing is something that I believe if we all had that concept embedded in us, we would thrive no matter where we work. So in the US, she founded the transcultural nursing. Her cultural care theory promoted culturally competent care and global understanding of nursing values. So especially in the US where we have people from different parts of the world and you don't know when or who you would take care of today. And just on respecting that culture, knowing about your own culture and also honoring the culture of your patient goes a long way. Words cannot express anymore. And then we have Sir Dr. Margaret Mary Fitzgerald in Kenya, Catholic missionary nurse who co-founded nurse-run health systems in rural East Africa. She pioneered community health outreach and maternal care in the underserved areas. Then Jean Watson, United States, she developed the theory of human caring, promoted holistic and spiritual dimensions in nursing. Still widely taught today in modern nursing educations, because we know, yeah, the being, again, that ties into the Unitarian being and all of those holistic care, they all derive from Unitarian, the Unitarian person, the Unitarian human theory, making that holistic care, making sure that the human is not, you can't treat the body and not the mind and the spiritual. All right, Annette Kennedy in Ireland, she served as the president of International Council of Nurses from 2017 to 2021. But we're looking at the times that she came into her true geniuses as a nurse. We see that it's 1952. So she started way back then and then became the president of the ICN. She advocated globally for investment in nursing education, workforce, and leadership. Dr. Sheila Tulut from Botswana, a nurse and former Minister of Health in Botswana. She advocated for HIV/AIDS care, gender equality, global health policy through the Global HIV Prevention Coalition. Amazing. Do you see how we're going around the globe? That's the reason why my for Nurses Week this year, we decided to have a Zoom background that truly looks over the earth, right? So I did post that into the chat group, so get that downloaded and have it, because we're truly talking about nurses from everywhere, mainly that. So then we come back to Liberia, we have a Fatu Kakula in 1991. Her impact in nursing history started in 1991. So we see B as before 1991, right? In Liberia. She then went on to gain international recognition during the 2014 Ebola outbreak. She served her family using her homemade PPE. Can't imagine that, but it happened. Inspiring the Kakula method and showing innovation under crisis. If you were in Liberia during the Ebola crisis, you know that this lady went above and beyond, right? This nurse went above and beyond to save lives. After saving the lives of her family, then her method became adaptable into the communities, and now she's being recognized globally. Helena Ndumi in Namibia. She is an ophthalmologist and healthcare advocate with nursing roots, known for leading free eye surgeries and rehabilitation services for the underserved in Africa. And again, another pointer during my tour, I reached some clinics where I believe they were doing it on rotation of weekends. Villagers would come out into this town and line up, do their registration, and then they'll do an appointment for them to come back and do cataract surgery. There is actually a school in Monrovia that trains the nurses as well. So nurses are doing things that no one ever speaks on and recognize them, but major. This is Namibia. All right, Molly Case in United Kingdom, nurse, poet, and author, uses the art and spoken words to advocate for nurses, mental health, and recognition. It's amazing. We're almost there. So Linda Atkin, she's a contemporary nurse, and during this time in the United States, she's influential. She's an influential nurse researcher whose global studies linked nurse staffing level to patient outcome. We know the staffing world is a chaotic place to be right now. It has been like that for maybe 10 years or more. So she had a major role to play in advocating for nursing workforce investment and evidence-based policy. Foster Mosha in Tanzania. This is a nurse researcher, public health leader, also instrumental in HIV/AIDS lab systems and strengthening in the sub-Saharan Africa, Tanzania. All right, Sarah Gimp in England. She taught fictional, though fictional. This is a fictional character. This is from Charles Dickens' writings, of course, but one that truly jives with what we see today. This character formed by Charles Dickens, Martin Chuzzlewit, represented the narrative image of untrained, careless nurses before the Florence Nightingale era. Her notoriety spewed public support for professional nursing reform in the 19th century. So why I think this is very essential it is a pivotal role that we see today where Florence Nightingale, prior to her coming into modernizing nursing had no respect. Why? I mentioned why, that nurses, those considered back then as caregiver, they weren't called nurses then, but they were caregiver doing similar works as nurses today, but they weren't educated. They were into drunkenness, and now we see where Charles Dickens is painting in his literary works, painting on trained, careless nurses. We've come a long way, and we should continue going higher. So here we are, okay? All right, Sarah Maji in Nigeria, nurse educator and advocate for women's health HIV care, and reproductive justice. She led the grassroots campaigns for rural health access in West Africa. That's amazing. Mercy Abamogi. Mercy Abamogi. In Nigeria, she's recognized for improving midwifery services in rural Nigeria. She helped reduce maternity mortality through nurse-led outreach. Be that nurse. Be in charge. Change the world. Don't complain. Work on what you see wrong and don't complain about it, because nothing gets done if you complain. You gotta be that change agent. It's all on you. So if I'm putting pressure on some people, that's what it is. So we have Sorority Perry Lewis. She's from Haiti. She's a nurse. She's a nurse leader during the Haiti earthquake crisis. Actually, I almost went to volunteer during this time, but the political issues were just too hot. Yeah, so during the earthquake crisis, she has been recognized and she has been put into a historical documentary. She advocated for community health, maternal health, maternal care, and rebuilding healthcare system. Dr. Jean Yang in China and global. Oh wow, Jean Yang touched the globe with her work. Former chief nursing scientist at I'm about to say the acronym instead, at the World Health Organization. She led the global nursing research and policy development, strengthening nursing education and workforce planning. Amazing, amazing. We see a lot of things today that we don't know who did what. Dr. Caroline Shengo in Ethiopia and also global, a public health nurse and educator known for building midwifery networks in East Africa, advocated for respectful maternity care and anti-FGM initiative, female genital mutilation initiatives. So her work is deep into the cultures. And ladies and gentlemen, the end. I want to thank you all so much for your time. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Nurses in Charge Incorporated. We connect, celebrate, and charge. 3 C's: connect, celebrate, charge. And that charge component is where we empower our fellow nurses globally, our nursing professionals globally. My name is Dr. Nyepu Kimu-Ho. It's been my profound pleasure just having you listen to me. You've written this historical school bus or training with me for 2 days, and I appreciate you. Today was more in-depth. Today was more comprehensive, and I'm so blessed to have had you here. There are more. Imagine my research has found 130 nurses to be recognized. And today we only covered, yesterday plus today, 69 of those names. So I will continue doing recordings even after Nurses Week. And so follow us on Facebook, just the name as you see, Nurses in Charge, and watch those videos. Each time we record, they get published. So yes, thank you. May God bless you all. Continue learning, continue researching, and be that change agent in your world so that even if no one speaks of you, your work will speak of you. Someone's life will be changed. Future generation of nurses will come along and they'll benefit. Nurses and midwives will benefit from your legacy. So again, happy Nurses Week, happy International Nurses Week. Nurses in Charge said, thank you for what you do out there. And please do reach out. You are the nurse in charge. How can we collaborate? How can we partner with your institutions? How can we change this entire world where nurses are leading more than before in research, education, mentorship? Check our website, nursesincharge.org. You will be amazed as to the programs we have set up free of charge. We have no registration fees. We have no monthly dues. Sometimes people say, oh, I already pay for other organizations. Come to NIC and you will get more for nothing, okay? And the nothing part don't mean that you're not doing anything. It just means that you don't take money from your pocket, but you get more for your services that you provide to humanity. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful Saturday. Is
Thank you.
May what? May 10th?
10. Today is May 10th. Thank you.
Thank
Happy
you
Mother's
so much.
Month also.
Absolutely, it is.
Mhm.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Take care. Have a blessed day.
Now you too.
Thank you. Bye.